Medicine is the key to human health and activity in life. President Jammeh has said the sky is the limit, challenging many Gambians to come back home from abroad to answer to the Gambian leaders' visionary call. The proprietor and CEO of the AfriMed Clinic caught up with Grts to highlight his biography, education, and keen interest in medicine.
My name is Omar Jain. I'm Gambian born and bred. In fact, I was born in Lamin, where I spent most of my childhood, then went to did my high school in Muslim high school, in Gambia High School, did my sixth form, after which I went to Ukraine. I did my basic medical training, from which I came back working at RVH for a while. Then went to Ghana. From there I came back and went to UK, where I stayed for about 10 years, almost 9 years. And came back 97 March and started AfriMed.
In every stage of medical practices, there are difficulties in the task at hand, and Dr. Yang tells us his experience in dealing with his patients.
It gets easier with experience, because you've seen something, you've seen it maybe 10 times, 20 times, then it's slightly more easy because you know how to react to it. Challenging tasks is most difficult aspects sometimes is when people put a lot of trust in you and expectations, and you know, given the reality, that the outcome is quite unlikely to be positive, and having to go with them through the emotional stages and with the stages, and until you're able to let them understand and bear and accept that can be very difficult sometimes. But I think with more experience you learn to deal with that, and so share the pain that will be there from time to time, because we are all human beings, and you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, because you could be in that same situation. Exactly. Some very close family of mine have had difficult problems and illness which I couldn't solve. So I know. So when I see people in a situation, I can sort of sympathize or empathize with them. So those things, yes, can be very challenging sometimes, especially children. When there are children who are very sick or they have fatal pathologies, and they're not gonna survive. And if you're the only child, etc., it can be very, very devastating for families, things like that. But as I say, we have to know our limits. We can't do everything.
Africans, use the barter system, in which, like a commodity is exchanged for another commodity. For example, if you have a length of cloth, then you exchange it for a basket of groundnuts. Or if you have like a basket of groundnuts, then you exchange it, for 2 baskets of rice. And now with the arrival of the Europeans, another form of currency, came into existence. For example, the cowrie shells. For many years in this part of Africa. Like some type of beads also, serve as currency. But in the late 19th century, the first type of money as we know it today, the 5 French francs, was introduced to the Gambia. And almost for 50 years, the only accepted medium of exchange in the Gambia was this 5 French francs. Now in 1919, the colonial authorities decided to demonetize this 5 French francs and to introduce the pound, the shilling and the pence. As you established in 1966, and it consisted of a board of 3 people, who regulated the issuance of currency, like in the Gambia. And still now, even after independence, we were still using the pound, the shilling. Now that coin you have seen was first issued in 1919. Now this coin you have seen here was first issued in 1919 as a 1 penny coin. And for many years, this was the standard medium of exchange in the Gambia. Now this was followed in 1928 by another 1 penny coin, as you can see here. And for a long time also, this was the standard currency in circulation in the Gambia. Now immediately after independence in 1965, you had the 8 shilling coin, with hippopotamus on the the outer side of the coin. Now this also, for many years until 1971, was the standard currency. Now after Republican status was gained in 1970, efforts were made to establish Central Bank of the Gambia and also to establish a Gambian currency. Now this came into operation in July 1971 with the dalasi, okay, as we can see here, the note, and the small unit called the butut, okay, and this was exactly about 40 years ago. When this unit of currency came into circulation. And now you may want to ask the significance of this. Now currency is a symbol of nationhood. It's also like a symbol of sovereignty. Okay? So the fact that the Gambia has been able to create its own currency and has maintained it for 40 years, that I think is a great achievement for the Gambia. Because as you may know, there are still so many countries which still cannot have their own currency. Or even if they have their own currency, this currency is still pegged, to that of their former, colonial masters. But we should be proud to say that since 1971, we have, had our dalasi and butut, and we have been able to maintain this as a symbol of nationhood, and also as a symbol, of economic independence. So I think that's quite significant. Yeah. But since 1971, the dalasi has undergone, so many changes. Now changes in format, changes in color, of the currency, of the notes, of the coins, and like changes also like in the format, and like in the color and so on and so forth. As you can see, the first issue, had this, okay, and these were some of the like images, and some of the figures, okay, and now subsequently, these also have changed, and even like the worth, of the notes have also changed. The first note, the highest denomination was 10, okay. Then later, we had a $25 denomination. And then later in 1990, we had a $50 denomination. And later, in the late 90s, we had the $100 denomination. So you can see that in the past 40 years, our currency has not been stagnant. It has undergone, quite some changes in format, like in color, and like in denomination.